Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here and talk to you in this event. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Gerdau transformation journey. I'll talk about cultural and digital transformation and looking for new businesses. So, I think it's really important for us to mention that this journey didn't happen overnight. This is something that we started back in 2012, 2013. We did a deep reflection about the organizational culture at Gerdau. We considered the objectives of the company that we aspired for 2022, and basically we asked two main questions to the executives. What can we do? What can we create that is new for the organizational culture back in 2012? And what do we have to maintain in our core culture? And out of this reflection, which was accompanied by an investment in people so we could reach the company's objectives in terms of our transformational aspirations. In the first moment of the process, we had four main tributes that were elected. So one of them we called opening. What is behind this attribute, opening? It's about being a more straightforward, open company that accepts what is happening externally, that has a relationship that is more candid. We have a more direct relationship with our staff. So all of that is behind the opening tribute or attribute. And one other aspect that is really interesting is related to being simple. In order to innovate, you don't have to be complex necessarily. Why did we focus on the simplicity attribute? Well, Gerdau has had a very strong expansion period. The company had a great mapping of processes, and sometimes when we outline processes, we became a complex company. It's quite a large company. This is a company that is really focused on operating efficiency and robust processes, but sometimes in order to support this huge expansion and in order to be able to meet the growth demands, we realized that we could be a little simpler. And a third attribute that we prioritized is providing autonomy or empowering our staff. So as the world changes externally, as the demands of our customers increase, as the need for agility increases, sometimes you have to give people autonomy so they can be quick enough to answer to those demands. And behind this autonomy, there is a concept which is for us to centralize what is high impact and low frequency and provide autonomy for that which is high frequency and lower impact in terms of the organization. So one of the factors that sometimes people don't really practice autonomy or don't provide autonomy, and this is really from a leader's perspective, is related to preparing people to provide autonomy. And there is a fourth attribute which is focused on growing leadership, right? So I mentioned opening, simplicity, I mentioned autonomy, and also leadership development. So we have to dedicate time and get those leaders in a position to be up to the task in 2022. And we have to prepare our leaders to be autonomous, to be more straightforward, more direct, more open, and more simple. So that was the first outcome of this cultural transformation effort. And to practice innovation is essential to have a ready culture. So after all this initial work, we began to make huge strides in our digital transformation efforts. We started working very strongly and very seriously on this agility. So we founded in Gerdau a movement which is called Let's Be Agile. So how can we be a company that has more agility to meet our demands and to implement our projects? And I remember that back when we were studying this topic and we were participating in some of the conferences and some of the congresses that are related to agility, there was this question mark. How can we bring this concept, bring this agility to a company that is so consolidated? And the answer of one of the experts is that we have to create a company inside the company. So we created this movement called Let's Be Agile, and we prioritized some projects. And so we started giving an example at the company, showing that we could be more agile. And instead of doing a massive training process, Of course, that was a consequence, but we started creating good examples, and people adopted based on the good examples that we had. And that was back in 2014 and 16. And when we got into 2017, there was a very important cultural milestone in the Gerdau history, which is related to our purpose. In 2018, we founded our purpose, and it's not by chance that it is about empowering people that build the future. This is not just a nice logo on Gerdau's wall. We did a deep dive with interviews, and in all of those events that we attended, we went back to the matter of building the future through people. We've always had major respect for people. We've always invested in people, and we believe that they are going to build the future. This future can be in steel or not. It can be in different business models, but it's going to mandatorily be about people. And we also started working with diversity in the company. Diversity is a major flag that is here to stay. So if we want to be up to date, if we want to attract talent and cater to external demands, we have to do an internal reflection. The world outside is very diverse, so that's why we are raising the diversity flag. We have several programs here, and we know that this is a necessary flag. This is a concept that is here to stay, and more we are going to dedicate efforts towards this. We are taking steps towards sustainability. We are going to always we are going to look for certifications, which is a very important effort in our sustainability agenda. And in 2019, after all the efforts that we carried out in the last few years, we created a project that is called Future Gerdau. So, what is the future of the company? How are we going to look for another 100 years of history? And out of this project, we created a major initiative, which is Gerdau Next. This is a business operation, and that's what I report to. It's a business operation that is focused on diversifying the portfolio of the company, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. I gave you the cultural backdrop to show you that this was really an enabler for our transformation. And more recently, still on the culture aspect, we did a reflection about our principles. So you might remember that early on I talked about our principles and the four attributes that we have, and those four attributes remain. They are part of our set of principles, and we maintained some aspects that are really important to us, such as safety, doing what is right in that regard, and we included some concepts that, in our opinion, should be a part of our staff behavior, which is diversity and inclusion, learning, unlearning, and relearning. If we want to be a modern company, those cycles have to be short, and we got to be ready for it. We got to strengthen our relationship with our customers. This is a business that more and more we have a principle that is at our core. So out of this cultural transformation, we created our 10 principles, and we believe that if we follow those 10 principles, we are going to have a foundation that is going to take us to transformation. I usually say that culture is not separate. Culture is a reflection of people's behavior in the business. So based on those principles and based on those behaviors, through those behaviors, our staff is going to create a future that is more and more, let's say, prosperous for the company. And as part of this future strategy, like I said before, we created this project called Gerdau Next. This is a business operation that is focused on diversifying our portfolio. Our goal is to obtain 20% of the company in a horizon of 10 years, coming from these new business models. So there are some verticals here that we are prioritizing. For example, construction, logistics, raw material, energy, new materials, and we always focused on digital as an enabler so we can develop scalable business models. And this business operation, and by the way, I'm going to get a little more in depth on it, I'm going to tell you about the relationship we have with the external ecosystem. We have a number of ways of developing these business models, one of which is focused on what we call the venture factory. Within the venture factory, my area is an accelerator for startups. We have an investment fund which is called Paris Ventures that is focused on investing in startups, and we can develop new business models with traditional M&As as well. We also have a concept which is entrepreneurship. So I usually say that we have the whole 9 yards, the whole range of business of new business model development, and we in the future are going to have 20% of our revenue coming from these new businesses. A little bit about the engagement with the external ecosystem. Basically, we have a toolkit for that. We have Ventures Gerdau, which is our accelerator for startups. I am the head of this department. We are looking for new business models, again, with the relationship with the ecosystem, with new startups. One other concept, which is corporate venture capital. That's our Paris Ventures investment fund. This is very closely related to my area, so we work with a lot of proximity with our investment fund. When we identify some relevant opportunities, we direct our Paris Ventures investments accordingly. We also have a strategy that is focused on new joint ventures or traditional M&As. And there is a concept that we are fine-tuning here, which is called Hack a Future. In other words, we have a few verticals, we have some priorities in our strategy, and we try to develop new business opportunities with them that can be worked through the relationship with the ecosystem or entrepreneurship itself. And what do we want with this toolkit here? We want to diversify our portfolio, so we want new business models, we want more business, and we want to achieve some parallel objectives such as disruption. Obviously, we want a financial return. We want to foster an innovation culture in the company more and more, and that strengthens our reputation as an innovative company. On the bottom side of the screen, you see the verticals that I mentioned before, so Construtex, logistics, sustainability, advanced materials, and digital solutions as some of the enablers here, so we can get these new businesses off the ground. I'm going to get a little more in depth on Ventures Gerdau, which is our startup accelerator. And it's important to mention before we go in depth in our initiatives, how this concept used to work in the past. You know, how we used to do innovation. We had the closed innovation aspect, which is a technology base, an internal technology base, and we had the stage gates to take us to new solutions for the current market. But here is the big kicker. We now have open innovation, where you have an internal technology base that maintains, but you also have an external technology base, which you can unify. And you can create spin-offs, you can meet other markets, competitor markets, we can cater to our market, or we can generate new markets. There is a quote that I like a lot that says, not all brilliant professionals are working inside the company. So that's something really true in terms of technology. We are seeing more and more a collaborative economy come into play, so we can work on collaboration, and we can bring more and more solutions, more and more professionals, and more external knowledge to the company. So that's one of the major reasons why we put our efforts into developing open innovation. As an example for you, in 2019, we conducted an acceleration program that is focused on construction and sustainability. And it's important to mention that 2019, that wasn't a long time ago, when we did an inventory of the startup ecosystem in construction. And by the way, why construction? Construction accounts for 3% of the global GDP, and 1/4 of the population lives in unfavorable conditions. This is one of the least digitalized sectors, and there is a very strong housing deficit in the world. So we analyzed all of those trends and we realized that the business model that is able to surf that wave and is able to digitalize this business is going to contribute with a lot of productivity for the sector, and there is a huge potential for major social causes in humanity as well. So we founded this program, and at the time, we mapped out in Brazil around 600 startups that are focused on the construction business. 150 were a part of the initial funnel that we did, the initial stage gate of the program, and then we boil it down to a pitch with 15 startups. And as the major exit of this program, we had a partnership with Brasil Cubo. We acquired one third of the company. For those that don't remember, that was the startup that worked with Gerdau and some of the partners here on the screen in such a difficult scenario that we are going through right now. And we built in record time, in 35 days, we created a definitive construction site by using the out-of-site model, and we built a hospital in 30 days with the modular off-site concept, and we delivered the quickest hospital construction in Brazil, in Brazilian history. And it's important to mention that these are definite works and they are a legacy to society. It was a collaborative work with other partners as well, and the modular construction becomes a reality as one of the trends that can cover the gap of productivity in the construction business. As I said before, as the major exit of this acceleration program, we bought one third of Brasil Cubo. Now, going a step beyond, this year, as a matter of fact, we started last year in 2020, August of 2020, we started another project, another batch of acceleration focused on construct tax, and in this batch, we worked with 236. That was how many enrollments we had. So an inventory that went to 700. A bunch of those are real estate, almost 50%, and almost all of the inventory of startups that are applicable to the program signed up to our acceleration process. So that was a great source of pride for us. Out of those 236 enrollments, we pre-classified 40 of them. We did another pitch selection with the top management of the company, and we boiled it down to 15 startups, and today we are accelerating 5 startups. Now, these startups, they also have a concept that is focused on new construction methods like CMC. You have Docket, which is a company that is a digital platform to reduce bureaucracy in the construction business. We have Orça Fácil, which is a budget platform, a quotation platform that is fast-tracking the quotation process. We have Dorsalis, which is focused on safety and operations, and Constru Flow, which is a platform of project management, and it brings more productivity for construction projects. And within this acceleration program, our positioning, we reinforced our positioning as a startup accelerator, but we are working with partners that have a great reputation in the market as well. They bring us knowledge about awareness, raising awareness. They bring us know-how about the specific sector, the specific construction business, and know-how about business development as well. So some of the partners that we have here, it's been a very collaborative process, and we've been working with these partners quite a bit. Within the program, in order to strengthen our role, basically we have 2 major objectives as part of the acceleration program. One of which, of course, is to look for new business models to contribute to our strategy that I mentioned before, which is to diversify our business portfolio. And one other thing is that our role as accelerators is to develop entrepreneurship and to develop the startups that are participating. So we did master classes, we did mentorships that are customized, and we open all of our assets in terms of our structure, even our base of clients at times, to make sure that these entrepreneurs can test and validate those business models. So this is creating a great repercussion. We are identifying new opportunities and reinforcing our agent role in the ecosystem. And so, overall, this is the material that I wanted to share with you. We are going to put more and more efforts on digital transformation, on looking for new business models, and reinforcing entrepreneurship in the ecosystem. Now, with that, I would like to thank you so much for the opportunity of contributing to this, and I am available.